MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
Yeah.
Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order submitted. Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
I remember when I missed those free throws. I missed those free throws again.
MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by the Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. All right, what's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good week. Sound check is coming through good. Let me go ahead and mute myself. Or my own feedback in my ear. So today was an interesting morning. let's get right into it. Actually, it's funny how certain things work, because it goes right into kind of the topic that I wanted to talk about today. We'll get into it. I'll get into it. All right. So what did we see today? Well, the short way of putting it is we saw what I would refer to as a predator movement, to where we had to set up overnight. We had a little bit of inventory collection. Then at 8:30 came in. We started, wholesale profited off of that right before the open. Got a lot of buyers excited. We're lifting up. We're getting inventory. We're finding inventory, and we're lifting off of inventory on the daily at a daily, key support level. So, we got a lot of buyers excited this morning, and a lot of buyers into the market, which created a lot of stops. And then, after the open, we just saw that big stop run. And then, other traders like myself who also tried to buy the dip, and they took advantage of that as well. Took us back to a level to one of my main, the PR plus one, right? That's the main level that I'd be looking for a key response, or like a reliable response, if whenever price trades there. So it doesn't matter if price is crossing over that level or if price is trading back to that level. Usually there is some sort of response at that level, right? So that's basically what we saw this morning, and now we're back inside of that range. So what started out as a lot of strong selling has turned into buying on the other end, and they quickly picked up inventory around that PR plus one, which gave us a lift back to some MSRP, right? So one of the main MSRPs that everybody looks at, which I'm just using MSRP as a different term for like most popular indicators, which is VWAP, and we're currently trading back to VWAP at this point for NQ. And we did have a mechanical response off of another MSRP where we caught some supply around 860. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. The most probable thing that I would expect, I'll be looking for, because I don't necessarily want to speculate. I'll be looking to see if we do make it back down to PR plus one, which is 744. Interestingly, that's flat, because those numbers are usually not just whole numbers, but 744, and then to see if we get another response there. You see off that volatility spike at 830, we did get a lot of, I would actually look at that sort of as a lack of participation in terms of, that area, the neutral zone area. But that's what I'll be looking at to see what happens if price trades back down to PR plus one, or if we hang out in this range. And I would be very cautious if price ends up trading back to the session high of, trying to participate above that high, seeing how strong they brought in supply there. But it doesn't, price can do whatever. They can do whatever they want to do with this price. So, it's just about awareness, and then how are you prepared for that situation. So speaking of being prepared, ironically, I got the situation that I been looking for with some things that I've been working on. It finally played out today, but I didn't execute on it the way that I was supposed to. So yeah, I completely messed that up. And what happens is I'm trying to figure out if I want to go into the topic first and then explain it from, like in line with that, or in alignment with the topic. Let me just go with while it's still fresh. So I'll get into this thing sometimes when I'm doing something new, or if I have a theory in my head, right? And this is uncovering some stuff that I need to work on, right? And this is why I say it's important to, like, you know, have that awareness of self and to use these different situations to help you uncover some things that you need to work on. So one of the things that I need to work on is when I have these theories in my head and it goes in a way that I don't want it to go, then I get into let me see mode. Now that's okay if I'm like doing this in a sim environment, right? And honestly, it's not, because you really want to practice. You want to train how you fight, right? And just try and get into this let me see mode where I just, okay, let me see what this will do. Even though I know it's not what I'm supposed to be doing, I want to see, or let me see what would happen if I do that, or let me see if, you know, just let me see what would happen here outside of what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and this is based off of whatever theory I have in my head. Now, there's a gift and a curse to that, because I've uncovered a lot of valuable information by doing that. However, every single time there's been a tuition associated with that, and it's a very costly tuition. So, you know, it's just one of those things that if I'm going to, you know, have that let me see mentality, I really need to work on just that whole, you know, figure out the best way for me to do that, or to approach that kind of mentality. Because like I said, there's a benefit to it, but then there's the tuition, the cost associated with having that sort of mentality. All right. So I think that's a pretty good segue to step into sort of the topic for this morning. And this is kind of going to be like a new segment that I'm going to call Trading Lessons from Non-Traders. And I say it like that because I'm kind of working on the name, or lessons that I learned from non-traders, right? So I got this video that's in the link. You know, this is a clip from a podcast from Gilbert Arenas, which he's a ex NBA player. He's a really good point guard, you know, before he actually, he's one of the top point guards at the, you know, during the early 2000s, before he started to have some injury problems. You know, then he ended up, you know, kind of being injured on his way out of the league. But this is a clip from his podcast. So let me just go ahead and stop rambling and play it. And let's just flow with it.
I remember when I missed those free throws. I missed those free throws against LeBron and the Cavs. Mm-hmm. Like, look at the interview. I'm happy as hell. I'm happy because I know tomorrow I get to come in here. Tomorrow, like, I get to, like, work on my next game. Like, I just failed. I just missed. I became a hero hitting the shot to go to overtime, and then let the team down, right? And I'm in there like, yo, like I can't, like I said, I'm about to take a week off, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. Took 2,000 shots, the next day, 2,000 shots. And then someone asked me a question like, you know, those free throws, they mess with you mentally? And like, whoa, and I didn't even think about the free, and he put doubt. Oh, I need to do something about this, right? I remember I'm talking to Drew.
All right, so in that little part right there, there's a lot in it, right? So one, ironically, again, it's kind of, I can definitely relate to it today, where for me, the team right now is me, right? And I had a really good week this week. Like, this week was a really good week. Basically, I was a hero for a team of me, right? Having a really good week, you know, executing with, you know, with as it's close to perfection as I think I could, right? Being human and all that stuff, right? And then, you know, expanding on what I know and all this stuff, right? I had a really good week. I'm the hero for the team of me this week. And then I have this day to where, now I just cost the team a loss, right? And in a major way, right? So there's, that side of it, right? To where how the emotional roller coaster, or not even that, like the roller coaster of, this business and being in this position where you have to make these decisions, and, there's a lot that can be riding on the line, right? But the biggest part of this for me is how he had a positive focus or a positive outlook from the time that he missed those free throws until somebody came and gave him doubt. So he had that positive thought process, right? All right, I messed up, but it's cool. I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna start working on my skills and everything again. I'm gonna get back at it. I'm gonna make sure that I don't get in that situation again by focusing on making sure that I'm prepared for the situation. And a lot of times what'll happen, especially in this environment to where you have all these people on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And the overall sentiment by everybody, all the quote unquote gurus that are sharing information about how to trade, the right way to trade. The overall sentiment is a lot of times is everything is bad, but what I'm telling you is good, and this is going to solve the problem that you're having with everything else being bad. A lot of people in this environment or in this industry, when they're trying to teach people how to trade, they start on the negative. Like they approach it in a negative way. This way of trading is not the way to trade. I don't know what's in it. I don't hold on to a lot of these. So, there's a lot of negativity associated with, the market makers are evil, or, you shouldn't be trading with XYZ or whatever the case is, right? So when you're trying to learn, and you're new in this environment, and you're trying to learn, and you're trying to get good, or you're trying to improve, you're trying to get out of a drawdown or a struggle, what's key is to be very careful for what you're consuming, especially in those moments when you've taken a loss, you've taken a big loss, right? You're in a drawdown phase, or it seems like you and the market cannot get in alignment, right? In those moments, you definitely want to be careful to what you consume, because at the end of the day, you get what you focus on. So whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of. That's just a universal law. So he was, after that big, after missing those free throws and costing the team the game, he had his mind focused right on the right thing until somebody brought the losses, the missed free throws back up to him. And now that put doubt back into his mind, and that put him in a repressed state to where he would have been more likely to make that mistake again, or to miss those free throws again, and he was going to start to struggle with the free throws, right? So I think that's a good lesson for traders to, when you have those losses, be careful with what you listen to, or if you're even when you're just starting, be really careful to what you listen to. And at the end of the day, like, in my opinion, the best approach is to go at it from within, and to just pick up the mechanics of how this environment works, how trading works, how to get in and out of trades, from learn those lessons externally, but just be very careful with all of that, right? Because people can put doubt into your head, which I had to fight through early on in my trading career. I had to fight through, and I had to learn a lot of things that I was taught from, just watching a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube and trying to learn actually how to trade. But a lot of that had a lot of negative weight on top of it, that was actually holding me back. And I had to go through a long process of breaking through all of that and trusting what I saw and trying and actually flipping it to focus on the result that I wanted to get versus what I didn't want to get, because focusing what I did not want to get actually gave me what I didn't want, right? All right, so let me go ahead and go to the next part. I'm gonna skip a little bit of this. If you want to watch the whole thing, like I said, the link is in the chat. But this is the whole video is about, you know, this journey of coming back from that big moment where he lost those, well, he missed those free throws and lost the game.
Just to see something different. I remember our first one was a warm up, and he's like, all right, we're gonna warm up. We got to go to the Blue House.
Blue House?
Yeah, it's just a Blue House. We're on the beach. Blue House, all right, cool. You know, you start running, talking, yeah, chap, chap. Right, you start looking up, chap, chap, chap. 5 minutes go by, start chap, chap, chap. Right, you know, he's like, oh, as long as you keep looking for that Blue House, this is gonna be a long run.
What?
He said, I suggest you just look down at the sand and just keep moving. And when I tell you the Blue House, we done, we done.
He said, what I tell you,
Yeah.
Blue House.
4 hours.
What?
4 hours. That was our warm up. 4 hours in the sand running to the Blue House. And I'm just looking down, we just talking, just.
Was there a Blue House?
It was a Blue House. 4 hours later. That's what I'm saying. It was 4 hours later.
That's insane.
And I remember he didn't know nothing about basketball. Mm-hmm. Right? This was just all physical, running up hills, down until you bleed. Like my trainer was throwing up blood.
All right, that's pretty good right there. So in that part he was talking about, I skipped over the part where he said he got with a trainer. That he was, you know, once he had that doubt into his head, he went and found a trainer, like a highly recommended trainer, to help him refocus his mind and remove that doubt out of his head. So what he was talking about there, though, was where you put your focus, and how his trainer was like, okay, we're going to run to this Blue House, and all right, let's go. Let's just go. Let's start running to this Blue House, you know, and he's into the run, and he starts like looking up and like, where's this Blue House? Like, we've been running for a while. Where's this house at? And then so his trainer told him, well, if you keep focused on that Blue House, if you keep looking for that Blue House, it's going to be a really long run. So from that, the trading lesson is, you know, to be focused, to watch out or pay attention to what you're focused on. And I can definitely relate to this one, because a lot of times when I get into like what I experienced this morning, I start focusing on getting the money back, right? Or getting back green, or, you know, I start focusing on the P&L. And even sometimes when things are going good, I may even find myself focusing on the P&L, right? But instead, what I found to be the best approach is to focus on that next step. Don't focus on the end goal, just focus on the next step, because focusing on the next step, I got to go, all right, yeah, I know I'm trying to make money here, but the way to make money is by you do it one trade at a time, right? So instead of worrying about, and I've experienced both sides of this, to where I had that when I'm focused on the end goal instead of focusing on the next step. But then you have where I focus on the next step, and before I get myself into a drawdown, and it's just, okay, so what's the next trade? I get into the next trade. Where's my next execution? And it's just that. I'm in the trade. Where am I initiating? Where's my next execution? Like, so for him, it was just focus on the next step. You know, just focus on, we're running, so let's just focus on running, and, you know, whatever we do to keep our mind locked on to the next step, or the short-term goal, in a sense, right? So for me, with trading, it was focus on, when I'm doing it right, it's focus on the next execution. And had I did that this morning, that big loss would have actually been only about $50. I remember seeing it where I should have executed, but then I had that, well, let me see what. I had that trigger in my mind And then that got me focused on the end goal that got me focused on the blue house instead of, well, let me just look down, keep my head down in the sand and just focus on taking that next step. Focus on the next execution. Right? So I wouldn't have had to I probably still would have been a red day, but not as significantly if I would have just kept my focus on the next execution, the next play. Not even the next play, just the next, where am I supposed to pull the trigger next? Whether I'm trying to get into a trade or get out of the trade. What's my next execution? And then that's all that I'm worried about. And then just let the results, be what they're going to be. Now, if I would have kept doing that long enough, in hindsight, I actually would have probably, whatever losses I would have incurred, I probably would have made it back. So, that's lesson number 2 from this non-trader. So now I got one more here that I want to play. I think it's one more. Let me see. Well, let's just play it. We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
So we're doing a shooting drill. He's like, how many? He's at 5 spots. Because I was like, yo, I gotta get some shots up. He was like, all right, I'll rebound for you. Because I'm like, I can do all this shit all day you want and all that. That's cool. But I still need my brain still needs to do this. He was like, all right, how many you usually do? I said, 100 a spot. He's like, all right, cool. He said, we're gonna do 1,000 a spot. I said, wait, what? 1,000 a spot. All right. Shot. Right. The brain start tricking off, thinking about some shit else. You know what I mean? Like,
thinking about 1,000.
He is at 1,000. He is at 1,000, right? Who to do 1,000? And it's like 15 minutes seemed like it went by. 15, 20 minutes went by, and he was like 10. 10. Like, oh no, I missed like 8 row after he said 10. Missed 8 in a row. He was like, I'm gonna tell you one thing. We're not stopping till you get to the 1,000. So you better focus. And then I had to like try to create a method to not think about the longevity and just focus. So then it was like, all right, let me try to string some out. Fuck him, right? Boom. That was 20 in a row. All right, missed one. I gotta beat 20 in a row. Boom. All right, that was 23. I gotta beat 23 in a row, right? And then eventually my brain started hyper thinking, right? Start shrinking. All right, I made it all net. Let's just go all net. The rim, right? And I'm sitting here playing a game with my own mind. Because first it becomes you're not concentrating, right? And then not concentrating went to I got 9,000. I got 990 shots left. Oh hell no, give it up, right? To eventually saying, oh no, I got to get through this. Brain starts reactivating, starts really concentrating. Now I'm making 30, 40, 50 in a row, mad that I missed the one. Because my brain tells me, damn, I need to get this over with. I need to make all 990 in a row. And then I'm just walking through these spots. So when I go back the next season, you can see the concentration in shots. You can see it like that's where turnaround comes from. Like I didn't walk through this I didn't walk through this once after I did that with him, that's when I left. I'm good. Cause I fought with my brain shooting. You go out there and you take 1,000 shots. Watch what your brain do. And then eventually it just turns over and then it just clicks.
All right, so that one kind of ties everything together. That literally these concepts don't go away. The next step is part of me, and I'm ready. And is internal code. Only you can do it. Great topic, great clip. So that part right there, is kind of the solution, right? So a lot of times, again, you'll see a lot of people who will give advice on what not to do, but then they don't give you detailed solution of what to do, but you kind of get it right there, a detailed solution of how to overcome that. And then it also goes back to the delicate balance of thought. So he was, starting to work on his mentality, starting to improve, starting to turn things back around and get over that doubt that he was having, which led him to that trainer. And then he starts going through a free throw routine, practicing his free throws, right? His free throw routine. And then all of a sudden his trainer says a number. And that number just throws him completely off to where now he has to, he's broken his concentration. And now he's starting to struggle again and starting to miss free throws again, right? So this is why a lot of times, I hearken on how you speak to yourself and then also what you listen to. Because, and this is why, like, when my setups are and how I trade, before I start trading, I try not to watch any news. Like, I definitely don't watch any news related to the market. I don't even try to pay that much attention to, like, I have to put my post on Twitter, and I don't, I try to just put my post up on Twitter, but not pay attention to anything else in the timeline, right? Because I don't want to I only want to give myself the opportunity to see something about somebody saying something negative about the market and what it's doing negatively, and have that affect what I'm doing, throwing my thought process off and having me focus on the wrong thing. Even if I'm like, I am as a room that I'm in, just because I like the community of it and all that stuff, right? To where I would trade before I go into that room. Once I'm in a comfortable spot to where I'm good, where I can decide not to be, or where I can decide to be good for the day, then I'll go inside of that room and I'll hear what the host is saying, and and I interact with the community or whatnot, right? Because your thoughts are so delicate that any little thing, whether you realize it or not, consciously or subconsciously, can throw you off of what you should be concentrating on. And then also in that is the effects of volume. So when you're trying to get better, or you're trying to improve your skills, you need volume. And to me, this is what paper trading and trading in replay mode, sim trading, this is what this for, to help you get that volume up. And when you're doing it, that's why at the beginning where I was like, well, times like this, the let me see mentality has taught me a lot, and I've expanded from that. And if I'm going to do stuff like this, it's best to do it in sim. But at the same time, I don't want to get in the habit of practicing or getting volume, getting shots up in the wrong way, with the wrong form and the wrong technique. If I'm practicing and I'm trying to go for volume and improve myself, improve my skill with just a number of quote unquote shots that I'm putting up, I need to make sure that I'm focused on doing it the right way, and I'm practicing the right way. And my concentration is on making sure, for trading, my concentration needs to be on focusing on executing as I've designed my strategy to execute. And the way that I've designed my strategy, so one of the big issues psychologically with taking losses is around the fact that you don't know what's going to happen next. So the way that I've developed my strategy, I've done all the work to develop my strategy to where no matter what the market does, because I don't know exactly when I enter into this trade, I don't know if the price is going to go up or down from there, right? But I've put into my strategy, no matter what it does, I have an action that I know, a consistent action that I know what to do if the market goes up or down. And then that's what my focus should be. That's what I got to make sure that my focus is on, so that when I start to trade again, it's just second nature. If I'm trading a live account, it's just I'm just going through the motions of what I practice over and over and over. And even to the point to where on the weekends or when I'm not trading, I will use replay mode and just go through practice sessions. It doesn't matter if I already know what happens or not, right? Yeah, I have hindsight capital to my benefit, but it's not about making money in that instance. It's about sharpening my skill level and making sure that I build habits are consistency around good habits. And that, so when I'm executing, I don't even have to think about, okay, this is what I'm supposed to execute. This is how I'm supposed to execute. It just happens as a natural thing, as a natural flow. And I experienced this earlier this week to where I took a trade and I actually exited. I wasn't really thinking about the exit, but where I took my profit is where I was supposed to, just because that's how I have practiced. And, you know, and it was just like a natural habit at that point, right? Until today, to where, you know, a lot of things can feed into it, but today I kind of got outside of that and went back to, you know, into that let me see mode, right? So interesting that this video came up for me, and it came up yesterday, and you know, even yesterday I found it very interesting that this video came up to me, because I was trying to think, you know, all week what I was gonna have, all kind of different topics that I was trying to think of what was gonna talk about today around this, you know, premise of lessons that I've learned from non-traders. And then this video comes up, and then it encapsulated everything that I was trying to, or thinking about talking about, because I couldn't decide, well, do I want to talk about that, or do I want to talk about this, or whatever. And then this video came up, and it was like, okay, well, this is everything, so I could just use this, and it's actually better than what I was thinking about before. And it, you know, almost perfectly fed into what actually took place this morning, right? So now I can take all these lessons, and then I can take it forward and work on, and I know what I need to work on from my, you know, my actions this morning of failing the team, right? Which is the team of me. They give away to the nature of this reality, man. The signs are all on full throttle, 100%. All right, so let's do a quick little checkup on, see what the market is doing. So right now we're hovering automation back to that, well, near the session high. So I did mention before I started going to all of that I was going to be watchful of either to see if price either makes it back down to PR -1 or PR +1, which it did not do. And then the other scenario is starting to play out here, to where we traded back to the session high, and in this area we started to find a shop between 940 and roughly 910. It's where we're, you know, picking up some more inventory, marketing to some more buyers. There's, you know, we definitely have sellers up here as well. So, you know, just me personally, I definitely would not be trying to take a breakout long here. Now, that doesn't mean that if price does eventually break above the supply range, let's say between 940 and the session high, that it cannot keep going. It can definitely keep going. However, just, you know, in my personal opinion, this is not trading advice or anything like that, but in my personal opinion, I think that's the lowest probable scenario, but only time will tell, right? I can always be wrong. That's just my observation, my view on the print as it stands right now. So I got a lot of my back office stuff to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the session for today. I think this is actually a really good one to, you know, with a lot of lessons in it, that you get to see the full picture of it, right? Well, kind of the full picture, because now the next part of this is the response, right? And so, yeah. So on that note, I hope everybody have a good rest of your session. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you on Monday. Trade it easy.